Have you ever found yourself checking your phone for the 10th time today? Expecting a message you know you shouldn't expect? Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest when he cancels at the last minute because the family needs him? Here's the truth that no one tells you. You're not bound to him out of love. You're caught up in a psychological game as old as human manipulation itself, and it knows the rules better than you do. In this video, I will reveal the dark mechanism that turns intelligent, independent, and confident women into emotional hostages of men who will never leave their wives. It's not about morals. It's not about right or wrong. It's about power. And you're on the losing side of that equation. Get ready, because what you're going to discover in the next few minutes is going to dismantle every excuse you've come up with to justify why you're still in this situation. The real question is not why can't you leave it? The question is, are you ready to admit that you're being manipulated? 1. The emotional crumb addiction. His brain has been hijacked. Not for love, but for a reward system that works exactly like a casino machine. Every message he sends, every quick date, every "I was thinking of you" activates the same neural circuits that make gamblers lose fortunes in Las Vegas. The difference is that you're staking your sanity. When it appears after days of being gone, your body releases dopamine. When it disappears again, you go into withdrawal. This cycle of presence and absence creates a chemical dependence in your body. It's not dramatic. It's pure biology. You've literally become addicted to someone who gives you attention to homeopathic doses. The devilish trick here is that unpredictable rewards are more addictive than constant rewards. If he gave you attention every day, you would get used to it. If he never paid attention to you, you would give up. But that middle ground, where you never know when you're going to get that tender message or that compliment, keeps you constantly on your toes, constantly waiting, constantly available. Think about how you feel when you finally get that call after a week. It's almost euphoric, isn't it? You forget the pain of waiting. You forget the nights crying. You forget the humiliation of being available to someone who only comes to you when it suits you. At that moment, everything seems to be worth it. This feeling is so strong that it temporarily erases all the accumulated suffering. Now understand, he knows that. He may not know consciously. He may not have studied neuroscience, but he realized that this pattern works. Every time he comes back after disappearing, you don't question, you don't really fight, you don't set limits. You're just glad he's back. It teaches him that he can do whatever he wants because you're always going to be there. The cruelest part is that the more time passes, the harder it becomes to get out. Your brain has already associated it with pleasure. Even when the relationship causes you pain 90% of the time, those 10% of good moments are so intense that you convince yourself it's worth it. It's like a drug. The first time is amazing, and you spend the rest of your life chasing that initial feeling that never comes back with the same intensity. You start to rationalize. He's going through a difficult time. His marriage is bad. He really loves me. He's just confused. These justifications are your brain trying to protect the source of dopamine. It is a defense mechanism, but it is defending precisely what destroys you. The inconvenient truth is that you don't love the real person. You love the version of him that shows up in the good times. You love the fantasy, the potential, what it could be if the circumstances were different. But circumstances will not change. He will not change. And as long as you continue to accept crumbs, he has no reason to offer you the whole dish. The system is set up for you to lose. Every time you come back, every time you forgive, every time you accept less than you deserve, you reinforce that this behavior is acceptable. And the cycle continues, spinning, consuming you, as you wonder why you can't just walk away. The answer is simple and terrifying. You are chemically addicted to someone who uses you as an outlet. 2. The power of manufactured scarcity. It is never fully available, and that's exactly what keeps you obsessed. When something is easy to get, it loses value. When it is difficult, rare, almost impossible, it becomes an obsession. This is one of the oldest laws of persuasion, and he is using it against you, consciously or unconsciously. Think about how you behave when he's online but doesn't respond to you. You create 1,000 theories. Is he angry? Is he with her? Is it busy? This uncertainty consumes your mind. Now compare it to someone who responds to your messages quickly, who is always there for you. You probably don't think about this person as much. You may even find it boring, sticky, desperate. Scarcity creates artificial value. A diamond is only worth what it's worth because it's rare. If diamonds were found in any backyard, they would be worth nothing. The same principle applies to his attention. Since you only have limited access, every minute you get seems precious. Each meeting becomes an event. Each message becomes a trophy. But here's what you need to understand. This scarcity is manufactured. It's not real. It is not a rare diamond. He's just a man who chooses not to prioritize you. The rarity doesn't come from him being too special or too busy. It comes from him dividing his time between two lives and you only get the leftovers. The worst thing is that this dynamic completely inverts the logic. You, who should be evaluating whether he deserves your time, are desperate to deserve his time. You who should be saying it's not enough are thanking for the crumbs. Scarcity has turned you into an eager buyer of a product that isn't even good. He says he can't see you this weekend. Automatic, you want more. He sets up a meeting but cancels at the last minute. You're devastated, but when he reschedules, you forget everything and go running. This is not love. It's you responding to a scarcity trigger that messes with primitive instincts in your brain. Companies use this tactic all the time. Last units. Limited time offer. Only for the first 100 customers. This works because our ancestral brain has been programmed to value scarce resources. Food was scarce. Shelter was scarce. So we develop an impulse to grasp what seems rare before it ends. He is exploiting this same impulse only with affection and attention. The most sinister part is that the more you chase, the more he retreats. And the more he retreats, the more you chase. It is a cycle that feeds itself. Her pursuit proves to him that the strategy is working. His desperation ensures that he can continue to control when, where, and how you meet. Imagine if it was available every day. If I called you every morning. If he wanted to spend every weekend with you. If I introduced you to friends and family. Probably the intensity of his obsession would drop. Not because you would stop liking him, but because scarcity is what feeds the flame. Without it, you would see the situation for what it really is. An average man who doesn't have the courage to make choices. The truth is that any relationship based on scarcity is doomed to failure or eternal dissatisfaction. Healthy relationships are built in abundance. Abundance of time, of attention, of presence, of commitment. When you have to beg for these things, you're not in a relationship. It is in a permanent negotiation where you always lose. He knows that if he gives you full access, you'll see all the flaws, all the contradictions, all the lies. So it keeps you at a safe distance, far enough away for you to idealize, close enough for you not to give up. It's a cruel dance where he leads and you just follow, not realizing that the song is taking you over a precipice. If this video made you see your story differently, it's because your unconscious is asking for healing. In the pinned comment, you'll find the Jung method, your guide to finally breaking this pattern. 3. You are his ego's secret prize. While you think you're fighting for his love, he's using you to inflate his ego. For him, you are not an emotional dilemma. You are living proof that he still has power, that it is still desirable, that he still manages to conquer. And none of this has anything to do with love. Think about the logic. He has a wife at home, safety, routine, someone who knows all his faults, someone who saw him sick, grumpy, a failure. With you, it can be the edited version of yourself. The heartthrob, the romantic, the misunderstood. You only see the good side because it only shows you the good side. Every time you give in, every time you come back, every time you forgive, you're validating his ego. You're saying, yes, you're so special that it's worth giving up my dignity. And this is like fuel for narcissism. He doesn't have to choose because having both is much better for his self-esteem than having just one. Here's a brutal truth. If you disappeared tomorrow, he'd be upset for a few weeks and then find another one. Because you are not irreplaceable in the role you play. You are interchangeable. Any woman who accepts his conditions will do. What he needs is not from you specifically. It is someone who accepts to be the secret option. Men who keep two wives are not romantics torn between two loves. They are strategists. They are maximizing benefits while minimizing commitments. With his wife, he has stability, social respectability, perhaps children, shared wealth. With you, he has novelty, passion, admiration, sex without routine. Why would he choose to give up any of these things? You probably see it as complicated, deep, tormented. But seen from the outside, the situation is transparent. He's not confused. It's comfortable. Confusion would be not knowing what you want. He knows exactly what he wants it all. And you're allowing it to have. Every time you send that affectionate message, you feed his fantasy of being irresistible. Each time you accept to see him in the remaining times, you reinforce that he can have you without real effort. Each time you cry and then come back, you teach that your tears are of no consequence. The male ego thrives on conquest, but conquest without challenge loses its grace. That's why he keeps his distance. Not because you're genuinely divided, but because you know that getting too close, committing too much would make you stop chasing. And persecution is precisely what feeds his ego. You being the huntress makes him feel like the prize. Meanwhile, his wife probably doesn't even suspect it. Or they are suspicious but choose to ignore it. In any case, domestic life continues. He has dinner at home. He sleeps in their bed. He goes to family events. And you're left waiting in the shadows, feeding the version of him that needs to feel potent and desired outside of marriage. The most tragic thing is that you're giving him something he should be getting: validation. You should be with someone who makes you feel chosen, prioritized, loved without conditions. Instead, you're the one giving it to him. You are the one who is proving that he is desirable. You are the one who is sustaining his ego while yours is systematically destroyed. He will not leave his wife because that would mean giving up comfort, and it won't assume you because that would mean giving up the ego trip of having two. The current setup is perfect for him. Terrible for you, but perfect for him. And until you understand that you're nothing more than a tool for his vanity, you'll continue to be trapped in this game where you're the only one who loses. 4. The illusion of we are different. You truly believe that your story is unique, that what they feel is too special, too rare, too true to fit into the statistics, that all the other cases ended badly, but yours will be different. This illusion is not accidental. It's an essential part of the script that keeps you hooked. Every woman who is with a married man believes the same thing. It is not arrogance. It is a psychological necessity. Because if you admit that your situation is exactly the same as millions of others, you also have to admit that the ending will probably be the same. He won't leave his wife. And this truth is too unbearable to face, so you create narratives. He's never felt that before. His marriage was already over when we met. We are waiting for the right moment. Children grow up. He saves money. The situation improves. They are all versions of the same lie, that eventually, magically, everything will work out in your favor. But statistics don't lie. The vast majority of married men who have affairs do not leave their wives. It's not evil. It is not cowardice. It is pure cost-benefit calculation. Leaving one's wife means dividing one's patrimony, facing social judgment, wasting time with one's children, admitting the failure of one's marriage, rebuilding one's life from scratch. Staying means keeping everything as it is. The choice is obvious. What makes you different in your mind is the intensity of the feeling. You feel it so strongly that it seems impossible not to be reciprocated in the same measure. But feeling does not change practical circumstances. You can love with all the strength in the world, but that doesn't change the fact that he has a life set up, legal commitments, social pressures, and a gigantic inertia pushing him to stay exactly where he is. It feeds this illusion because it is convenient. When he says you are different from everyone else, he is giving you a tool to justify staying. When you say I've never felt this before, you're creating a sense of exclusivity that makes you tolerate the intolerable. When you say, you have to understand my situation, you are buying more time without having to make any decisions. The most dangerous part of this illusion is that it isolates you. You don't tell your friends because you know they're going to judge. He doesn't seek help because he thinks no one will understand. After all, what you have is too special, too unique to fit into the normal rules. This isolation makes you even more dependent on him, because he becomes the only person in the world who understands the situation. But look at the facts without the emotions. You find yourself on the sly. He can't post a picture with you. You don't know his family. You don't make real long-term plans. There is no transparency. There is no future being built. There is only one eternal present where you wait, and it benefits from your waiting. If it were really different, he would have already acted. People who want to be together find a way. People who don't want to find excuses. Simple as that. Every day that passes without real change is further evidence that your story is no different. It's the same as all the others. The only difference is that you still haven't accepted the obvious ending. Thousands of women have gone through exactly what you are going through. They heard the same promises. They believed in the same exclusivity. They waited for the same signs of change. And the vast majority discovered too late that they were not special. They were just convenient, just a distraction. Just one more. The illusion serves him, not you. It serves to keep you quiet, waiting, accepting conditions that you would never accept if you saw the situation for what it really is. A man having the best of both worlds while you have half of a man in exchange for all your emotional availability. There is nothing special about it. There is only one woman deceiving herself to make bearable what is, in fact, unacceptable. 5. The game of eternal promise. He never says he won't leave his wife. It would be too stupid. Instead, he says soon, when the time is right. I need to get some things done first. The promise never materializes, but it is also never fully withdrawn. And you live in this limbo, in this almost, in this soon that never comes. This is the most sophisticated manipulation of all, because he's technically not lying, he's just putting it off. And postponing it indefinitely is much more effective than denying it completely. If he said, I'm never going to leave my wife, you'd have to make a decision. But as long as there is a possibility, no matter how remote, you keep investing. Think about how many times you've heard a variation of just a little more. After the end of the year holidays, after the wedding anniversary, after the child enters college, after the financial situation improves, there is always an after. And when that later arrives, magically another obstacle appears, another reason to wait a little longer. This technique has a name: goal movement. This is when someone constantly changes the criteria for what was promised. You reach the finish line and find that the line has been moved further forward, and since you've already invested so much to get there, you don't give up. You keep chasing a goal that's always a few steps ahead. The investment of time is what holds you back. You've already waited 6 months. Then it turns into a year. Then they saw 2. And with each passing time frame, giving up seems more painful because it would mean admitting that all that time has been wasted. Then you convince yourself that since you have waited so long, you can wait a little longer. After all, it would be a shame to throw away all this investment now. This is the fallacy of sunk cost. It's the same reasoning that makes people keep watching a bad movie just because they've already watched half of it. But past time does not come back. The time you have already invested is already lost. The only relevant question is it worth investing more? And if you're honest, the answer is no. His promises work as sedatives. Every time you start to question, to get impatient, to think about breaking up, he lets out one more promise. I'll tell her soon. I'm gathering courage, I need the right moment, and you calm down. He gains more hope. Wait a little longer, and the cycle continues. The cruelest thing is that part of you knows it's a lie. That little voice in your head that you ignore, that you silence with rationalizations. But it is there, whispering that if he really wanted to, he would have done it already. That man who wants to be with you doesn't need years to make a decision that you are being deceived. He probably doesn't even see it as manipulation. In his mind, he's really going to do it eventually. Or at least he really wants to do it. But wanting to want is not the same as wanting. And it's definitely not the same as doing. Meanwhile, you get older. He misses opportunities, closes doors. He wastes his best years waiting for someone who is comfortable exactly where he is. The eternal promise is the invisible chain. You don't feel totally trapped because you can technically leave at any time, but it doesn't come out because it's almost. And this almost lasts for years. You live in the future, always in the future, never in the present, because the present is painful. It's hidden meetings, phone that can't ring at certain times, holidays alone, lies to family and friends. But the future is perfect. In the future, you will be together for real. They will be able to leave hand in hand. They will spend Christmas together. They will have a normal life. But this future will never become a present. It's always a few more months, another obstacle, one more excuse. And you keep hoping, you keep believing, you keep being used as long as you believe you're being loved. 6. Why you accept less than you deserve. The question that no one wants to ask: why do you settle for so little? A woman who accepts to be second choice is not doing it for love. She is doing it because something inside her believes that she does not deserve to be first. And as long as this wound is not seen, you will continue to accept crumbs and call it a feast. Maybe it comes from childhood. Absent father, critical mother, previous relationships where you were not prioritized. The origin does not matter. The fact is that you carry an unconscious belief that love is something you need to deserve, fight for, conquer. That if you're patient enough, good enough, understanding enough, you'll eventually get what you deserve. But that's not how it works. Healthy relationships are not rewards for good behavior. These are not prizes that you get after passing enough tests. They are mutual choices between two people who decide to prioritize each other. And if you're begging for priority, you've already lost. There is something perverse about how women are taught to value sacrifice. The romantic idea that true love means suffering, waiting, being patient. That strong women endure hardships. That love that doesn't hurt is not real love. This is propaganda to make you accept less and still feel noble about it. You probably justify, "But I love him." As if love were an excuse to be treated as an option. As if loving someone means having to accept anything that person offers. But love without respect is obsession. Love without reciprocity is fantasy. And love where you're hidden isn't love at all. It's his convenience disguised as romance. The uncomfortable truth is that you're avoiding something. Maybe it's avoiding loneliness. Maybe it's avoiding facing that you're getting older and time is passing. Maybe it's avoiding trying again with someone available. Because it's safer to stay with someone unavailable and be able to blame circumstances when it doesn't work. A married man is a safe bet for those who are afraid of real intimacy. Because you'll never have to show who you really are. You will never have to live the boring day-to-day. You will never have to deal with real domestic conflicts. You can keep the fantasy, the idealized version of yourself, because he only sees you in the best conditions. To accept to be a lover is to accept that your value is linked to his availability. You don't have a guaranteed day. There is no guaranteed place. It has no guaranteed future. He lives at the mercy of his schedule, his whims, his needs. And yet you call it a relationship. There is a quote that says, "We teach people how to treat us." Every time you accept a last-minute cancellation without consequences, you teach them that your time is worthless. Every time you forgive a lie, you teach that your trust doesn't need to be respected. Each time you stay when you should leave, you teach that you can be mistreated without risk of losing you. Women who know their worth don't accept crumbs. They simply do not accept it. And it's not because they're stronger or smarter. It is because they fundamentally believe that they deserve better. And this belief does not negotiate. It makes no exceptions. He does not accept excuses. You deserve someone who chooses you in front of everyone else. That introduces you to the family. That he posts a photo with you. That makes long-term plans including you. Don't hide it. That he does not lie. That doesn't make you question if you're loved. But as long as you settle for less, it's exactly less that you'll get. The day you understand your own worth is the day you look at that situation and feel nauseous. You will wonder how you tolerated it for so long. How did you allow yourself to be so disrespected? How we mistook sporadic attention for love. But until that day, you'll keep selling your soul for crumbs. 7. The trap of calculated hope. Hope is a tool, and he knows exactly how to use it to keep you hooked. It's not too much hope because then you'd demand action. It's no less hope because then you'd give up. It's the exact amount to keep you in limbo. Always almost giving up, but never really giving up. When you're about to leave, he senses it. It's not magic. It's that you change behavior. It is more distant. Answers less. Complain more. And that's exactly where he acts. Send that romantic message. Make an appointment with you. It makes that promise you wanted to hear. And you come back. Like a yo-yo. That's intermittent reinforcement at its most calculated level. Psychologists know that this is the hardest type of conditioning to break. More difficult than constant reinforcement. More difficult than the total absence of reinforcement. Because you never know when the next reward will come, so you never stop trying. Every little gesture of his resets the timer of his hope. He takes you out to dinner and you think, see, he cares. He calls you just to talk and you think, we are getting closer. He casually mentions a future plan and you think, you see, he's considering. And all of these little signs feed into the narrative you want to believe. But pay attention to the pattern. These gestures always come when you're moving away. They are never spontaneous. They are always strategic. They are responses to his behavior, realizing that he is losing control. And they work perfectly because you want to believe that they are genuine. Hope becomes addiction when it is fed in controlled doses. You live from peak to peak. That special bond sustains you for 2 weeks. That weekend together gives you breath for a month. You learn to survive with less and less as long as you have that occasional moment that rekindles the flame. The mental trick he uses, whether consciously or not, is to always take a step forward when he's about to lose you, but never to take the definitive step. It's like climbing stairs. He climbs a step with you when needed, but he never reaches the top. And you delude yourself into thinking you're making progress when in fact you're just being managed. There is a phrase that defines it perfectly. Hope is not a strategy. You can't build a life based on hope. Hope does not pay the bill. It doesn't fill the house. It doesn't grow old with you. It doesn't give you security. Hope without corresponding action is only prolonged illusion. The most sinister part is that he learned exactly how much hope to give you. He tested the limits without even realizing it. He discovered that if you disappear for 3 days, you are sad. But if you disappear for a week, you threaten to leave. Then he disappears for 5 days. He discovered that if he promises something for 6 months from now, you accept it. But if he promises it for 2 years from now, you question it. So he promises it for 8 months from now. You're being calibrated, like a thermostat. It keeps the temperature of hope exactly at the point that keeps you present, but not demanding. Hot enough that you don't freeze and walk away. Cold enough for you not to boil and require more. And you don't even realize you're being controlled because you're too busy feeling it. The way out of this trap is to stop living in the future. Stop nurturing hope based on promises and start looking only at present actions. What is he doing today? Not what he is saying. Not what it is promising. What are you doing? If the answer is nothing that changes my situation concretely, then there is no real hope. There's only emotional control disguised as romance. 8. How to leave without looking back. Leaving is not the only decision. It is a series of small decisions made repeatedly until it finally becomes reality. And the first decision is not to break up. It's admitting that you deserve better than that. As long as there is no such genuine admission, you will finish and come back. Finish and come back. Until she gets tired of herself. Start by stopping making excuses for him. Every time your mind starts with "but him," stop. Replace it with "so what?" But he's confused, so what? But his marriage is complicated. So what? But he really loves me. So what? None of this changes the fact that you are unhappy. None of this changes the fact that it is being treated as a second option. Second step, cut contact. There is no "let's be friends." There is no closing talk. There is no "just one more time." Each time you interact with him after you decide to leave, you restart the detoxification process. It's like trying to quit smoking but taking a puff from time to time. It doesn't work. You need total abstinence. Block the number. Block on social media. Delete the conversations.
Yes, it will hurt.
It will hurt a lot, but it will hurt less than continuing. The pain of leaving is acute and temporary. The pain of staying is chronic and permanent. Choose your pain. Third, fill the void. You will feel a giant hole. Don't try to ignore it. Don't try to pretend you're fine. But don't fill that hole with another relationship right away either. Use this space to rebuild what has been destroyed: your self-esteem, your autonomy, your ability to be alone without feeling incomplete. Go to therapy. Serious. You didn't get into this situation by chance. There are unresolved things that made you accept so little, and until you solve these things, you're going to repeat the pattern. Maybe not with another married man, but with another man unavailable in some way. The packaging changes, but the contents are the same. Fourth, prepare for mental relapse. You will idealize. You will remember only the good moments. Your brain will edit reality to make it look like you made a mistake by leaving. This is normal. It's abstinence. When it comes, write a list of all the times he disrespected you, all the times you cried, all holidays alone, all cancellations. Read this list whenever you miss it. Fifth, don't expect him to chase after it. Maybe he will run. You'll probably run when you realize you've lost control. But when you run, it's not because it loves you. It is because it has lost the source of validation. It's because the ego can't stand rejection. If you come back, it will be worse than before, because he'll know he can do anything you ever come back. Sixth, understand that there is no perfect closure. You want him to admit that he used you, that recognizes the evil he has done, that he really apologizes, but that probably won't happen. And even if it happens, it won't change anything. The closure does not come from him. It comes from you deciding that you're done without all the answers you'd like to have. Seventh, be brutal with yourself about wasted time. Not to punish himself, but not to fall again. You've wasted months, maybe years, with someone you never really intended to hook up with. While you waited, other opportunities passed. Other people who could have truly loved you were ignored. You don't get that time back, but you can stop losing more. 8th, when it actually comes out, don't advertise. Don't make drama. Do not send a message explaining. Simply sum. Because any explanation becomes negotiation. Any conversation becomes an opportunity for him to manipulate you back. Clean output is silent output. And finally, forgive yourself. You weren't stupid. You were human. You believed someone who didn't deserve your belief. Happens, but now you know more. Now you understand the games. Now you won't fall again. Use this experience as a vaccine, not as a life sentence. You deserve more. He always deserved it, and one day he will look back and be grateful for having had the courage to leave while there was still time to rebuild.